Let's talk about last night then, because somebody that certainly doesn't need to work on his confidence either, Zhao Xintong. Have you had word about the reaction from China yet?
We're hearing numbers, early numbers of 150 million audience from Southeast Asia, which is phenomenal. This young man is obviously, back after a short suspension, playing the snooker from the gods. I was so impressed with him last night. It took me back to a very young Jimmy White with a cue action. He's so confident. I mean, Mark Williams put up a great fight, especially in the final evening session to win the first 4 legs. But the young Chinese guy, he was never phased. He always looked super confident. He's a real star for the future, and I think he's going to help snooker no end by inspiring millions of kids particularly in China, but moreover Southeast Asia, to pick up the cue and see if they can. I mean, get ready, everybody else, because we are ready for an invasion, and we're going to have to all buckle down the hatches and get better. But this kid is special.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He did look incredibly special, didn't he? Is that what you expect, like kind of a massive boom in China as a result of his success in terms of snooker?
We've been waiting since Ding Junhui burst onto the scene for a Chinese winner of the World Championships. It hasn't happened until last night. But, when you look at the qualifiers for this year's Worlds, 8 out of the 16 qualifiers were Chinese players. I think there was 13 Chinese players in the last 32, and they're only going to be inspired by Zhao's confidence and prize money and results. These kids are living in Sheffield or around the UK, getting ready to be a professional snooker player, so they're dedicating their lives to it. They're paying a huge price, but my goodness, I think they're going to start seeing huge dividends on that. And Zhao Xintong was the first guy that really showed them that it's what's possible to do. And he did it in such style, with such grace, eloquence. I mean, he's the perfect package, and he's going to be a wonderful ambassador, not just for China, but for snooker generally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, we do have to address the controversy. You mentioned it, the term match fixing, which will sadly follow him around. He didn't directly throw a match. He accepted the charges of being party to another player fixing 2 matches and betting on himself. And for those offences, as you mentioned, he did receive that 20-month ban. I'm guessing you would say, time served, move on.
No, absolutely. And he made a terrible mistake. He gambled on matches, which is against the rules. There were others that were much more guilty than him because they actually were involved in fixing games. The World Snooker's integrity unit is ranked as one of the best in the world, and I'm very proud of them. And 10 Chinese players, some of them top players, were sent back to China. And this sends a lesson out to everyone. Don't mess about with World Snooker. We have the resources. Every single match is monitored by integrity unit. Every single betting layer from Southeast Asia or wherever. We're in touch with all of it, and we will catch you if you mess about. And these guys paid the price, and quite rightly too. However, like everything else in life, people make mistakes. Some people might go to prison, some people might get fined or exposed as a cheat. When you've been banned, you serve your ban, and I think from then onwards, it's only common sense to say the slate is clear now. Please behave, do justice to yourself, perform at the highest level with integrity foremost in your mind. And I think that's going to be the case with this young man. We don't hold grudges. We don't look backwards. As a sport, we're looking forwards. Snooker is expanding all over the world. It's getting huger than huge in China, probably the number 3 rated sport in China. As I said, 150 million. We're looking at the Middle East where it's booming. We are in a very good position, and we need the players to understand integrity is paramount. If you make a mistake, you will get caught, you will get punished. But once you've served your punishment, to me, in my mind, the slate is clear and you're back in the fold now. Let's show me how you can become this great ambassador, which you have the capability of becoming.
Yeah, learning from your mistakes. I hear you, Barry. Can you understand why some, because if you dip your toe into social media, which sometimes isn't the best barometer, I have to say, but some people aren't so keen to move on?
Listen, there's always going to be those people, the knockers, the people that live perhaps sad lives themselves and look on other people that achieve things, and they're always looking for negatives. That's okay. That's their life and they're entitled. Fortunately, we take a much broader picture. Of course, we champion integrity, and we are ferocious in banning people when they break the rules. Simple as that. But it comes back, everyone makes mistakes in life. I think we have to look at the bigger picture. Have you learned from those mistakes? Other people have certainly learned because obviously they're aware, much more so now, of the dangers of breaking the rules. As far as he's concerned, he's paid his price. And the knockers on social media, the keyboard warriors, they can have their lives as well. Good luck to them. I don't want to be aligned with that part of society. I want sport to be fair. I want it to be played on a level playing field. And I want to be able to reward the players for sacrificing their lives to give us the level of entertainment that they're capable of doing. I'm with this young man all the way. Slate clean, away you go. He's a brilliant player and he's going to be great for the game of snooker.
All right, let's move on from that as well then. And speaking of moving on, the annual chat around the world, staying at the Crucible, well underway. I know it's full of history, Barry. We all love it. But my question is it fit for purpose? What's the latest?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's not fit for purpose in line the way the sport has progressed. If we were still the same sport that we were 10, 20, 30 years ago, of course, we wouldn't have a problem. There was times at the Crucible in the early days. I've been there for 48 consecutive years. That venue, that sport has changed my life. So I'm heavily personally invested in it. But it has to be fit for purpose and it has to offer the commercial rewards necessary to keep this event in the UK. Now, if we don't mind about it travelling around the world, I personally would love to see it remain at an enlarged Crucible with government funding, as they fund so many other sports, for the interest of the country. But we're in a strong position. We have huge amounts of money on offer, especially now from the likes of Beijing and Shanghai, that would love to have the World Championships with their world champion defending his title. We're also getting stronger and stronger with sport in the Middle East, whether it's Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. There's a lot of people realise that snooker is fantastic value for money and it can inspire kids to pick up a cue and become actively involved. It ticks a lot of boxes. History says we want to stay at Sheffield. I personally want to stay at Sheffield, but it can't be at the expense of holding the game back. So we're having very interesting conversations. I've been super impressed with Sheffield City Council. They're desperate to keep it. Sheffield is the city of snooker, no longer the city of steel. That was yesterday, and we only look forward. So we are the city of snooker. We want it to remain, but to do so, we're on a world stage, and we've got to live up to that world standard, both in terms of facility, both in terms of commercial values, and most of all for the players themselves, who won't surprise you, are constantly looking for increasing prize money so they can change their life through the sport of snooker. And that's our responsibility to provide that. You've seen what we've done with darts, because commercially it ticked all the boxes. The finals, our biggest event, our blue ribbon event, has been 48 years at Sheffield. I'd like it to be 68 years, but it has to financially add up to be relevant to the players and what they really want, which is to change their lives through sport.
All right.
That's where we're up to. Hopefully by the end of the year, we have a plan. We're going to meet again with Sheffield Council within 3 months. They are talking to government. They're looking very creatively at ways of changing the Crucible, etc. We want to stay there. We really, really want to stay there. But it's got to be at the right price. It's got to be something where we can see the game is living up to its global reputation.
In your heart of hearts, where do you think it will go, if you can be honest with me? Where do you think it's going to go?
When I think about the amount of money we're talking about, I don't think it's significant in the bigger picture. So when you're talking about spending 14 billion on the Olympics, whether you're talking about bringing the Commonwealth Games, whatever you're talking about, to keep this event in England is not expensive. But this government has got to help, because no councils these days have got a lot of money spare. That's for sure. There's nothing spare in the pot. We've got to be creative. We've got to look at every angle. Somehow we're going to keep it in Sheffield.
All right, final question. We've got to talk about Ronnie O'Sullivan. How important is it for snooker for that genius to carry on playing?
It doesn't matter. It's how important it is to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's been a fantastic servant of snooker. He's been the best player ever to hold a cue. But it's up to what makes him happy now. We mustn't be selfish. It's up to Ronnie. He's got a wonderful academy in Riyadh. He spends time over there. It's hugely important to there. And he says he'd like to do the same elsewhere around the world, and I welcome it. I'd love to see him playing in every single tournament, but I'm a realist. He's not going to do that. It's up to Ronnie. Our arms are open. We want to welcome him as he deserves, the greatest player ever to hold a cue. But the final decision, as always, must be his.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Always lovely to catch up with you, Barry. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.